Hi, Ceci. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, actually.
Yes, yes, so excited. I've really looked forward to talking with you about this. I always love talking to you, but I really wanted to interview you on the topic of retirement. You're such a respected and highly thought of individual and also lieutenant. So
Um,
I've really looked forward to this. I am going to read the bio that you sent me,
okay.
and then we'll just get going from there. So, and it is kind of funny because anybody that knows you knows that this is the kind of bio that you would send. It doesn't go into any of the awesome stuff you did at the Dallas Police Department. It doesn't go into any of that. It's just you. So you said, I retired from the Dallas Police Department in 2016 after 29 plus years of service. My husband, Robert, is also a retired Dallas Police Department officer of 35 years, and you've been married for 41 years. You have two wonderful children, a bonus son and a daughter, and a granddaughter and a grandson. You currently have a part-time job at the Rockwall County Library, and you volunteer at St. Michael's Garland's Food Pantry. You love spending time with your family and traveling.
That's it.
So, like I said, it doesn't go into all of the many assignments that you had and all your great achievements, but it's you. It's you. Is there anything else you'd like to add to that bio before we get into the retirement topic?
No, I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Okay. Well, thank you for that. And, I was trying to think of how long I've known you or what assignment it is that we first worked together. And it might have been on one of the running teams.
Yes.
Is that it?
Yes.
Okay. So one of the
I
running
think
teams.
that's when we first met was when we were running the Baker to Vegas.
Back in the day.
Way back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah. That was like in the mid 90s.
Oh yeah. I was much younger and thinner and faster at the time.
You've always been a strong runner, but yeah, that was back in the day. And then we started getting different assignments together.
Yes.
And one of my favorite memories is sitting in a meeting, one of the various meetings, and just looking over at you. And I was just looking at each other and just thinking, yeah.
um, I remember several of those meetings and where you were there, and like I said before, it was always kind of a comfort to see a familiar face, a friendly face, and that we were all sitting there going through the same thing. It's like, oh no, am I in trouble? Did I do this wrong? Or I forgot to do this, or I forgot to do that. Um, but it was always good to know. It's like, oh well, we're all in the same boat.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's not sinking, at least not yet. So everything was going to be okay.
And I think one of the things also that myself and probably anybody else would say is we never had to worry about you throwing anybody under the bus or running anybody over. You would be honest, you'd be truthful, you would help solve a problem, you'd even, point out a problem, but nobody had to worry about being mistreated or anything with you. We always felt safe. So I think that's a nice thing, a nice trait that really served the department well. So could you please share with us what you took into consideration when deciding when to retire?
Well, as I mentioned before, Robert has had 6 years on me in the department. And so I think the goal was always to retire around 30 years. And so he was going to retire before me. And he said, oh, I'm going to be the house husband and cook dinner, which I thought really, I thought that's not a bad deal. But then I thought, well, we could retire together. And so I was telling him at one point, I finally told him, I was like, no, when we leave, we're leaving together. And he thought I was kidding, but I really wasn't. because we talked about traveling together, and I just thought, well, how can we travel if one of us is still working? So then he kept working till I was going to have 30 years anyway. And he loved his job. He absolutely loved his job. He liked going to work. I've always, I'm very grateful for the police department, the opportunities it offered. And it helped us raise our family, and, you know, it helped us just live. And so I always enjoyed it. And as difficult as some assignments may have been, I always enjoyed the department, all of my jobs. But there was a time there at the end when I just thought it was time for me to go. Things were different. And it was just a relearning of a lot of things that I just thought, it's just time. And so Robert said, okay. So we set a date, and I didn't quite meet my 30 years. And he went ahead and served 35 plus. Actually, he almost got 36. But it worked out perfect. So it wasn't, like I said, we were planning each to do 30 years. He stayed on longer. He didn't mind because he was enjoying his job. And I ended it a little bit early just because I thought I've had enough. And we were close enough to where we thought we wanted to be. So financially, we, not to get into a whole lot of that because I really can't tell you much about it, but we had, of course, done, we had our retirement, you know, all our accounts in order, and we hired a financial consultant to help us through that maze there. And so everything's worked out just fine. So we're good. Yeah, we're still alive.
I think you really hit some important points. And that what I'm finding when I'm talking to my clients and other retirees is really the ones that liked their jobs, believe it or not, are enjoying retirement more than the ones that, you know, just hated their jobs. And another thing too is like you recognized when it was time to go. And I have to tell you, I had a very deep feeling that it was time to go. And there were things that I didn't want to learn. Like, I am patrol at heart. And the way the system is now is we can't really do a lot in patrol. I mean, we can't do the reports on the computers, and I wasn't going to learn. I mean, so I could, you know, officer safety, I could search a female prisoner, I could wait for I can do all that stuff, right? But I couldn't do the basics. I couldn't like do a report, and, you know, and it's like, it wasn't that I felt like I was the old officer. I just felt like I just don't want to do this anymore, you know? And it got to where I was finding that I wasn't willing to go to the same meetings over and over and over again for the same problem. And I looked at retirement as such an opportunity, such an exciting part of life. And since I know you and we were, you know, I see things on Facebook, I know that you had some wonderful things to do after you retired. Has that been what you thought it would be?
Yes, actually. So when we retired, it was with the thought in mind that at the time we had our granddaughter.
Yeah.
And you know how difficult it was when we were in the department with childcare. So one of the things, but you know, that's not just unique to us police officers. It's for everybody. And so one of the things I always wanted to do was to help our kids with childcare. I left El Paso and I left all my family there. So when Robert and I were here, we had very little family support. Slowly but surely his family started coming around, but they have their own careers and such. So we would help each other, but it wasn't to the point like back home, my sisters had my mom to care for the kids. And so we had nobody. So Robert and I we worked opposite shifts, you know, we worked different assignments just to make sure that we could be there for the kids. So when our granddaughter came along, that's one thing I've always told the kids is like, we'll do whatever we can to help you with the grandkids. So that's one of the things we were very excited about is like, now we have all the time in the world for the grandbaby. The other thing we wanted to be able to do was my parents are elderly and Robert's mom was, you know, at the time. So we wanted to be able to help with their care as well. So I take maybe every 2 to 3 months trips to El Paso to go check on my parents. My dad's 95 and my mom's 94. And then Robert's mom used to live with us. We actually had her come live with us after we retired. So she's suffering from dementia. And so we were caring for her up until, well, right before kind of COVID ended. Robert's siblings decided to put her in assisted care living. So we've always had that to do. And then around all that, we're like, oh, we're going to schedule our trips. And we did. We went to Italy and we went to Greece. And we've just had all these different little trips that we've just enjoyed. We went to Switzerland, and it's just Germany. It's been great. So, I mean, Robert's given me the world. Basically, I can go see the world. Besides my family, he's taken me to see the world, and that's one thing that we wanted to do in retirement.
You know, I know that life is never perfect, and I know that all families have struggles, but and I'm going to try not to get emotional about this because, you know, nobody comes here to watch me cry or listen to me cry. But one thing, even before I knew you, as much as I do now, is I always admired you and your husband as a married couple.
Oh.
Always. And I remember I worked a job with him one night at the Fair Park. And we were transporting the money at the end. It was quite a big deal. It was kind of stressful having all that much money and all the officers and knowing that, you know, we're Target and stuff. But when it was done, I told him how much I really admired him as a married man, you know, as an officer on the department, and what a great example it is to people. And, you know, me having come from my broken first marriage to a police officer, and how hard it is to be divorced on our department. It's also kind of hard for some people to be married on our department. You know, like you said, with the rotating shifts and all this stuff, and not always having a say in the assignment that you're going to get, and the hours changing just like overnight sometimes, you know. But I think that you and Robert, and I think there's quite a few really good couples on our department, but you know, you and your husband always, you know, were always a great example for that. And then I think in retirement, you continue to be a great example of really living a good life. And again, I know nothing's perfect. There's always issues, you know, but look at how faithful you've been to your parents and to your extended family, and sharing the struggles of that. And reaching out, you know, like when I would post about my late mother-in-law and how hard it was dealing with her decline, you know, you were one of the ones that was always there with a supportive comment. And, you know, I think that's another gift that you bring to our population. Oh my gosh, are you crying? Now I'm going to cry.
You're very sweet.
Okay, let me think about puppies here for a second. But you know, I mean, it's just with everything that goes on around us in the world, with law enforcement and first responders and all that stuff, you know, sometimes it's our aging mother that matters. Sometimes it's our brother that we love and that we miss that matters, you know. And it's taking the time to go to your grandchild's school and enjoy the donuts, you know, or, you know, I mean, really. And the trips that a lot of the retirees take, you know, they're not like, it's not like in our face, like, oh, look what I get to do. It's not, it's more like, look at life. Let's live. We worked so hard for this. Let's enjoy this.
Yeah.
Let's let other people know that it is out there. If you plan it, and if you think about it, and if you want it, it can happen.
Oh yeah. And it's like you said, it's not a bragging, look what I'm doing. Because we worked hard. When you know, I joined the department and we bought a house after that. We were in that house for 32 years. Robert and I for a long time, with the kids were little, we took little trips to El Paso here and there, just other little trips, but we didn't take any big trips. And we paid the house off in 15 years. And we did that with, in mind, again, I don't want to get into the financial, but it was just helpful. It's like we paid off the house, and then our daughter went off to college, and even though she had some scholarships, we were able to pay for it without any worries. And it was just by the grace of God that we ended up with, our kids are 9 years apart. So then once Diana graduated from school and Paul went off, and by then we had paid off the house. And so just to keep him closer, and it helped things. And he needed a challenge. We moved him from Mesquite to First Baptist School. And so he went to school there, which we could never have afforded private school for Diana at the time. But it was just so many things we could do. We had some liberty once we had that spare money. And so, and we still saved. We stayed in that house for, I said, 32 years. And it wasn't until 3 years ago, 2019, when we bought a new house. But so we're enjoying it. We're enjoying what we saved up for. And I think people, that's what they should keep in mind. It's like, maybe you can't do this now, but you will later. You will eventually. I mean, I said, we always wanted to travel and we couldn't do it then, but we can do it now. And so, yes, like you said, it's out there.
I have always, there's wonderful songs and wonderful poems and all these statements about, you don't know, there's no guarantee for tomorrow. You need to live today like there's no tomorrow. But I've really been thinking about that the last couple of years. And I think that we should love like there's no tomorrow, like always tell your person you love them, and always acknowledge the beauty of a good relationship. But what I'm thinking of is we need to live like we're living. In other words, make decisions today that we have a very good day today, but how we're living today is going to allow us to have a good tomorrow and a good 10 or 15 years down the road or whatever. So, enjoy today. Like, I guarantee your children didn't lack for anything when they were little, right? I mean, right. And because you loved them and you provided for them and stuff. But, you were living like there was going to be a tomorrow, you were doing that. And thank God, it happened. We know a lot. I mean, look, over the years, we could sit here and come up with a whole bunch of people that didn't have a tomorrow. I mean, it's just a reality. It's just part of life. But yeah, so when I was thinking about having you, and I had hoped your husband also, but obviously I'm happy just to have you. Whenever I wanted to interview y'all, I was hoping that this was how you were going to want to talk also, because I always let people say what they want to say, but I was really hoping that you were going to be able to express and share how you have lived that way, and how you continue to live that way, and how that is a gift that you give to others, because people are watching. People are seeing how you're living. The younger officers, other retirees are seeing how you're living. Is there anything that you would like to tell other first responders who are kind of thinking about retiring?
I think it's like you said, we probably shouldn't put things off until tomorrow. And we did, we just thought when we can afford it, when we have the time, we did. But that didn't mean we weren't living. Like I said, we were still traveling, even if it wasn't the big trip, across the ocean, across the pond, as they say. But we did what everybody does with their families. We did the Disney World, we did the Grand Canyon, we went home and we had parties with our families. If we didn't celebrate the kids' birthdays here, we'd go back to El Paso. So I would just say, it's like, yeah, you could still do things, and maybe it's on a smaller scale, but as things got better for us, they kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and that was exciting to us. And I am very grateful that Robert and we shared the same dream. And we talked, and even if we changed a few things, then we were still doing it together. And I did the Camino de Santiago by myself. Well, I went with Leslie and Rick, not necessarily by myself, but that was the first time I had ever been away from Robert for probably more than a week. And that was hard. But how can I say this? I knew I still had his support. If I couldn't have done that if I didn't have it to begin with. So, but he was like, no, you can do this, you go. And physically, I knew I could do it. Mentally, I just thought, I don't know if I can do this. But he was there the whole time. And so even I was hoping he would want to do it, but he's kind of shy. And we weren't sure what you were, yeah, we weren't not, actually, Robert is anything but shy, right? He was more camera shy. He doesn't really like to talk about himself. And I didn't know what we were going to be talking about or expecting, really. Or your expectations. We didn't want to let you down either. But so that's why he's like, no, no, you do it. But all I can say is like, don't stop dreaming. You know, have your dreams, and you keep working on them.
Mhm.
They are a work in progress. Like I said, we did travel, and maybe after retirement, they just got bigger, you know, better trips. So I would
I
say
know
that it's
that relationships are very important to you, not just family, but
Mhm.
also with your friends. And you are one of those women who has a group of women that you love and you support, and they support you. And even if those feelings come easily, you do still have to make an effort, especially in retirement, to find time. I mean, to be
Yes.
together where you're all spread out everywhere. Is that an accurate statement, me to say that these relationships are important to you?
It's very accurate. As a matter of fact, you know, I had scheduled this meeting with you, but Robert was laughing because I said, oh, I got a phone call scheduled at 1 o'clock, and I was calling Arlene,
Mhm.
who is in Florida. So she and I have to schedule these phone calls because she's got things going on over there. I got things going on. So we call each other, we schedule this phone call, and every now and then we call up and go, hey, what are you doing? But, you know, we may catch each other at work, or we may catch each other at the grocery store. And so we hadn't talked in a while, and I go, okay, I'll call you at 1 o'clock on Tuesday. And she goes, okay. So we were all set, you know, we're sit down in our chairs and we're just set. And we're just ticking off. It's like, oh, did I tell you this? Did I tell you this? You know, and so we get caught up, and then we'll do it all over again. Scheduling lunch with everybody is kind of difficult, but it's that's another thing Robert has been very supportive of, is like, you need your girlfriends. You do. You need your girlfriends, you need your friends. You know, God forbid anything should happen, but you know, you always have that support.
Yeah. Yeah. I like also that, like the last time you posted a picture, it looked like about 5 or 6 of y'all together. And I was like, oh my gosh, look at that powerhouse of women right there. Look at the stories those women can tell, right? But I also, it made me, you know, I was smiling, but it also made me think, oh, I've got some friends I need to reach out to, you know. And so it was a nice, gentle reminder. Again, it wasn't the in your face kind of thing. It was just a nice, gentle reminder of, this is how you live a good life.
Yeah.
This is how you live a good life. So,
And that was just like a small group. I mean, we start out with this group, and we're like, okay, who can go? And of course, the dates don't always.
Mhm.
It's not, you know, it's not perfect for everybody. So we just schedule who can go, and it's like, okay, let's go. You know,
Yeah.
so that is important. Yeah. So
And I am somebody, I don't really, I'm not really a group kind of person. I never have really been a group kind of person, but I can absolutely recognize the value of it. And so, and because of that, and because of what I know professionally now and how important it is during for retirement as we get older, I'm looking at other people and saying, well, you know what, if they can do it, I can do it. And it has nothing to do with like not liking the people. It's just, I would, you know, like to be home with my dogs, or, you know, working in the yard or something like that. So I know that even though I help other people in their lives set up these relationships and friendships, I know I have to make an effort to do it. And so it's always good to hear other people say how it does feed them and it does help them, and all of that. So I have the big final question for you, and this is the question Todd always likes me to ask our guests. How would you like to be remembered?
Oh boy. I'm not always perfect, but I do care, and I try to help others. So, and even then, it's like I said, Robert didn't want to do this, but I was hoping that I can help you and others. And that's why I said yes to this. but that's how I'm hoping. It's like if anything ever comes up, it's like, oh yeah, I remember when she helped me with this or with that. So that's it. It's like I just try to help out.
Well, I thank you personally for all of the years that you've always helped me. And I thank you for coming on and doing this, even though it's a little different for people now to do this kind of thing. And
Yes,
if you could please tell your sweet husband that I said thank you for all he's always done for everybody also.
will
And
do.
he's an example of a great man, a great husband, a great officer, a great coworker. So thank you to him also.
Mhm.
And I will get this all finished up and I will have your name listed in the show notes, and I will have anybody that wants to get a hold of you contact me first. And we'll just do that way, since you are not a public figure or anything. I'll just have them contact me and then I'll be able to get y'all in touch. But Ceci, thank you so much. Thank you for
Okay.
always being you.
Thank you. Thank you always. You're always too kind, and I really appreciate it. And I hope this helps you out.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Kim. Okay. Bye-bye.